Who is in the best 23 for the West Coast Eagles this year? It's going to be a pretty interesting one to figure out. The Zero Hanger team, they've already done it, so we're going to break it down line by line for you. But before we do that, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We've got plenty of AFL content coming out this year. But now, let's go. West Coast Eagles, best 23. But before we get into it, don't forget that ZeroHanger.com is the #1 independent AFL news source for all your AFL news, trades, draft content, and now games. Check out our latest game, AFL Streakr. Test out your footy stats knowledge and see if you can get your name on the leaderboard. All right, here to break down the best 23 for West Coast this year. Mitch Keating, AFL Chief Editor. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Very keen to get into the Eagles. This is going to be a fun one, I think.
Yeah, so obviously West Coast had a lot of acquisitions in the off-season, so it's going to be interesting to see how they all play into the best 23.
Yeah, free agency, draft, trade, they did it all. Got in some good experience and ticked a lot of boxes at the draft as well. So Andrew McWelter, new year for him. It's going to be quite exciting.
Yep, absolutely. Let's get into it. All right, so starting with the back line, Brady Hoff, Harry Edwards, Liam Duggan, Ruben Jimby, Jeremy McGovern, and Liam Baker. So obviously big question there for West Coast is how they replace Tom Barrass.
Yeah, well, it's Edwards, isn't it? I really liked his season last year. Gee, they need McGovern to stay fit, though, because I think underneath that line, it starts to get pretty bleak. Rep Bazzo probably hasn't come along as they hope, and he probably doesn't have the size yet. So they really need Edwards and McGovern to stay fit because... yeah, besides those two, it's going to be quite lean when it comes to locking down opposition key forwards. So, going to be an interesting one. Like Ruben Jimby has size and might be able to hold a role, but yeah, I think he had a gig or two on a couple of superstar forwards and struggled, as you might expect from a teenager in his second year who's more a midfielder. But yeah, Edwards is the one, and hopefully he can continue off the back of last season.
All right, so looking at the mids now. So, main man in the ruck, Matt Flynn. And then following up, Elliot Yeo, Jack Graham, Tim Kelly. And then on the wings, Bo Allen, Elijah Hewitt. So, let's start with the ruck call, because that's an interesting one.
Yeah, it is. I think Matt Flynn should be their R1 for most of this year. But, Bailey Williams held down the fort with his injury and even at form sometimes. So, that's going to be quite an interesting one to see what they get. I see Williams as more of a forward, but in saying that, I don't even know if he's going to be in the best 23. Jack Williams... pretty promising as well as a ruck forward combo. So I think Flynn and Jack Williams might be the call to make for the rucks this year.
Yep. And obviously West Coast have a pretty exciting young midfield coming through. But one that I'm excited about, Bo Allen coming in straight onto the wing.
Yeah, well, he's one of the ready-made draftees here. Had a pretty solid year with Peel Thunder in their waffle side and was even a premiership player for them. So... add him into the mix with a Jimby coming off halfback, a Harley Reid, and an Elijah Hewitt on the wing, and hopefully they can have that midfield for the next 10 years. They'll be looking pretty clean.
All right, and now looking at the Eagles forward line. So we've got Harley Reid, Jake Waterman, Matt Owies on the half forward flanks, and then Tyler Brockman, Oscar Allen, Liam Ryan. So obviously a lot of that revolves around Waterman and Allen staying fit. Yeah,
well, Waterman was fantastic last year, one of the best in the comp, and deserved his All-Australian selection. And then Oscar Allen just needs a full year at it. If both of those can stay fit, they're 50, 60 goal forwards going off the best form we've seen over them over the last few years. So that's going to be quite pivotal. They don't need those two to be helping lead the charge to get them up near finals. They just want them staying fit, continuing, I guess not their development, but their leadership qualities as key forward targets. And then they'll get some support here and there from a Jack Williams, a Jack Hutchinson, a Ryan Marrick if they play him forward this year. So those two need to be staying fit, but they've got some other options who they want to be getting some reps into as well.
All right, and rounding out the 23 with the bench, we have Jack Williams, Jamie Cripps, Jack Hutchinson, and Jaden Hunt, and then Ryan Marrick as the sub there. So a good balance. A lot of players that can, sort of youth and some experience there, and players that can sort of play multiple roles.
Yeah, I think I don't mind that little 5 just to round out this 23 because Jamie Cripps might be his last year for them, but still has a pretty good output as that veteran forward and will work, with the Brockmans and the Ryans and the Owies this year to now hand over the baton a little bit. Both Marrick and Hutchinson, drafted as tall forwards or medium to tall forwards and have shown in their short times with West Coast that they can play further up the ground and even in the back line. So that gives them a little bit of key position versatility, which they definitely will need if it's, like we mentioned, Waterman and Allen aren't always fit, or if they need someone else to step up down back. So those two are quite handy. And then Jaden Hunt, good experience under his belt and can offer a a lot of run off halfback, which they might lack if they don't have a Liam Duggan, a Brady Hoff, or a Liam Baker.
Well, that is our best 23 for West Coast this year. So looking at that list, I'm not convinced they're not going to be the team that jumps. Usually every year there's a team that makes a big jump from the bottom 4 to potentially contending for final spots. What do you think there?
Yeah, 2025 is not going to be the year for that. There's probably another couple of clubs in those bottom few rungs that will. But the green shoots are there. This is going to be a year that I think Eagles fans get a really good look of what's going to be around the corner come 26 and 27. So I think we know with Harley Reid that if he's there for the long haul that they're going to be in a pretty good position. But it's guys like a Jimby, Elijah Hewitt. You really want to see a full season out of. Brady Hoff might be one of the best young defenders in the comp. I think there's plenty of time on the side of Waterman and Allen. So there are these players that they just want to see more and more of, getting full seasons in, and then I think it'll give them a great picture of what they can expect for maybe 2026, and then they'll be looking to take that leap.
Yeah, absolutely. They're an exciting team. They're going to take some big scalps next year, but so good to see. Let us know in the comments section what you think of our best 23. What do we get right? What do we get wrong? Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We have plenty of AFL content coming out this year, and catch all your AFL news at zerohanger.com.